Hello everyone and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from Vescault and I'm terribly sorry, I'm probably pronouncing that horribly wrong. Now considering that the post-battle screenshots were in French, I should most likely give it a more French pronunciation. Well, I did learn some French in school, but I've forgotten everything since then. So I don't know. Vescault? Yeah, okay. I'm probably embarrassing myself, so let's stick with Vescault, and again, I'd like to apologize for butchering a nickname. Anyway, he's in the Sao, Tier 10 Japanese cruiser. He is on the map Northern Lights in a 4-point domination game mode. And it's obviously a Tier 10 battle. Now there is one enemy carrier, and obviously a friendly carrier. And the enemy team has one more destroyer, which is bad news in a domination game. But there seems to be a slowly sailing Kutuzov that's not very well angled. So Vescault is switching to armor piercing, and let's hope that the next salvo can be devastating. Now, of course, that Kutuzov is speeding up and will most likely try to find some cover. But he is still broadside on, and this salvo looks pretty decent. Only one citadel, but there is that. Now Vescault himself is also somewhat exposed. There are quite a few enemy ships over there, but so far only few are interested in shooting at him. And oh, that was a very nice salvo at the Ibuki. Now Vescault was trying to speed up again and probably angle away, but unfortunately there was a friendly ship in the way, but so far no harm has been done. He hasn't really been hit by anything big yet. Now one friendly destroyer is down, this is pretty nice. One enemy destroyer is down, one friendly destroyer was trying to get Point Charlie, but he was forced out of the cap and he is now moving towards Point Delta. Unfortunately, this friendly destroyer here on the right side has absolutely no support, and so yeah, I'm not sure how effective he will be. Now there doesn't seem to be an enemy here, so he probably can capture for free on the right side, and then hopefully he can, I mean the destroyers are pretty fast, so he can return and rejoin the battle. So might be helpful here on the right side. Let's hope that the destroyer doesn't get caught out and sunk. Now two enemy destroyers down by now, so the friendly team actually has a destroyer advantage, and that's pretty awesome. Friendly gearing here has almost finished capturing Point Alpha, and nobody is in Point Bravo. The enemies will get Point Charlie, but who cares? Now let's hope that the friendly team will now more focus on Point Bravo, because it looks like there are enemy battleships pushing in. The destroyer won't get over here so fast, and if the enemy ships are already inside the capture circle, you can no longer stealth cap, obviously. So you'd need the friendly battleships to kind of counter that push, and the destroyer can help out with his torpedoes. So let's see. Now Vescault meanwhile is just shooting enemies, doing some damage, hopefully setting some fires. And I think he has a fire going on someone, and he's just trying to set the Kurfürst on fire as well. Cause that's what Saus do, they burn things. 2 fires, that's pretty nice, but most likely the Kurfürst will take care of them. And indeed he does, so let's hope he can start some more fires when the damage control is out. Now there is a friendly ship lying a smokescreen here, and even if Vescault isn't in the smokescreen, if the smokescreen is between him and the enemy can't see him. So he can currently here shoot ships to his heart's content, and well, he won't get spotted. Now of course here from the right side, if ships get too close they might see him, but so far everything seems to be working out quite nicely. I mean, there is also this island that's probably blocking vision from the Kurfürst. But the smoke screen is, I guess, nice as well. I mean, we don't know where enemy destroyers are sneaking around. Okay, strike that. We know where the only enemy destroyer is. He is here between Point Alpha and Bravo and probably blocking the friendly gearing from just torpedoing that core first. Now the enemies have taken Point Bravo and Point Charlie, friendlies have Alpha and Delta, and unfortunately the friendly destroyer here on the right side, he got spotted by planes, it looks like. At least there just were some planes. And now he's probably getting chased down by a Moskva, and with radar I'm not sure if he has a chance of escaping. We can also see an enemy Bismarck over there, who decided to hug a zone wall for some reason. And when you think about it, this battle has been running for what, 6.5 minutes or something? And and Vescault got already with her. But also that Bismarck is, he hasn't done anything useful so far. He's now just entered Point Delta, and capturing that will obviously be useful for the enemy team. But I highly doubt that he had shots on something over there, because only a friendly destroyer was over there. So you usually want to avoid Point Delta on this map, unless you are in a destroyer and you can probably sneak through the channel. Now besides that, the enemy core first here is trying to get away, but he is burning, he is on low health, and he will hopefully get sunk before he can get to safety. Ooh, someone just got a very big hit in, so let's hope that core first goes down. Now the friendly team really wants to take Point Bravo because they are losing Point Delta. But yeah, I mean the gearing is still on the way, he might still get blocked by the destroyer. But it would have been nice if one of the battleships maybe pushed in there. Now we can see a Yamato coming this way and a Moskva. The friendly Yamato is, it would be more helpful here in the north or just pushing straight for the capture point. I'm not sure why he is traversing here towards the south. But I mean overall it looks pretty decent. The friendly team has, I think they still are one ship in the lead and they have a few points more. Obviously that will change if they aren't taking a capture point rather soon. Now the gearing's on the way. Sooner or later he should take Point Bravo. And Vescault, I mean, he could push more directly towards Point Bravo, but I don't think it will be overly helpful. So he will stay here, try to keep his distance to the Yamato in order to not get deleted, and help out by doing as much damage as he can at the Yamato, and probably also intercepting the Moskva and the Missouri. The friendly team only needs one ship capture, and the rest of them, they could intercept the enemies coming this way, which should be pretty helpful. Carrier is also doing his part and is running airstrikes at the Yamato. And this poor Yamato is going down pretty soon, he is on fire. He is getting shot at from multiple sources, and there are torpedo bombers as well, because yeah, they might be a bit overkill. So Yamato down. Now Moskva and Missouri still coming this way. Enemy Bismarck, not sure where he is going. He could stay here in the south, or he could here support his people in the north. There is a friendly Bismarck here in the south. He will hopefully be able to help out the destroyer if the enemy destroyer shows up, and maybe intercept the enemy Bismarck. And meanwhile here 3 cruisers are trying to stop a Missouri and a Moskva. Now, well, strike 1 cruiser. Now being broadside to the Missouri can be pretty bad. So far he hasn't taken any interest in Vescault here, but he really has to be careful. If that Missouri starts shooting him with this angle, he's pretty screwed unless he gets behind that island in time. There are some shells incoming. Now he will have trouble angling because he doesn't want to run aground, but yeah, he dodged those shells quite nicely. Now, with the island providing cover against the Missouri, he can focus on the Moskva. And considering the range of those ships, this might be decided in torpedoes if they guard each other. Now, Sao doesn't have the best torpedo angles, and The problem with torpedoes is obviously in order to fire them you have to show broadside, and you don't want to show broadside. Because if the enemy is prepared with a salvo of armor-piercing shells, you are going to have a bad day. Now, Vescault has loaded armor-piercing because he is prepared if the Moskva shows broadside. He's also prepared for... I mean, once those ships sail past each other, they have to show broadside. But it looks like Vescault is now going for the torpedoes instead. He will sink this Moskva before he can do any more damage, and that worked out rather nicely. But now there's a slight problem. Vescault wants to rejoin the battle in the center, obviously, but this Missouri is blocking the way. You don't wanna make a full U-turn in front of a battleship, and you also don't wanna get closer to a battleship necessarily. So the Missouri is basically hurting him away. Now he could try something with torpedoes, but again, has to show a lot of broadside. Maybe he could do it while the shells are down, but considering that the Missouri is burning and considering that there is an airstrike incoming, I think that Missouri will go down pretty soon. So should solve this problem and allow him to turn around and return to the center. Missouri is down and the way is open. Unfortunately, it's a 3 versus 3 and the enemy team is ahead. What's even worse, the enemy team is pushing towards this side. So the friendly team obviously wants to take another capture point, but if they just sail over there, then the enemies just capture and return, and the base trade at this point is not in favor of the friendly team. So they have to defend and attack at the same time. Now the gearing is probably blocking the enemies here, which means the Sao can now try to take Point Charlie, and it looks like that's what he's going to do. He's going full speed over there. Now, if the friendlies could get Point Charlie and defend Alpha and Bravo at the same time, then yeah, this might work out. I mean, there are still like 7 minutes left, and let's speed this up a tiny bit until the action returns. Now, enemy fighters just found the midway, I think, and I mean the midway is on the move, and enemy dive bombers have found the gearing. Now, the gearing, that's a slightly bigger problem. The enemy airstrike is interestingly going for the midway, but with the gearing spotted, I mean the planes that are coming over here, even with the planes not staying, they are still flying by close enough to keep the gearing spotted, I'm afraid. And that's bad, because the gearing looks like he's in secondary range of a Bismarck, and the set also joined in. Now Vescault, I mean, he can try to shoot the enemy destroyer, but at 18 kilometers, he needs some serious luck to get hits there. Friendly gearing is still floating and is probably going to drop into concealment again. So at least there is that. Now, with the gearing at so low health, it's pretty dangerous for the gearing to stick around, so probably best choice is for the gearing to go towards Point Charlie and the Sao defending Bravo. Also slight problem, the enemy destroyer is, I mean, he's on very low health, but he's unspotted again and he might just go directly for Point Alpha. Also enemy carrier still striking the midway, and if he succeeds in that, it's looking pretty desperate. Now in chat, Vescault is has been asking for the friendly carrier to protect the gearing, but I'm afraid the friendly carrier is too busy protecting himself. Got clear sky, but it looks like he is flooding and going down. So if the midway is flooding, that's... yeah. Midway is done. And now it's looking really bad. But hey, the friendly gearing can at least get Point Charlie, and maybe if the enemy midway is there, he can also sink that. But the friendlies, they really need to prolong this fight. They need to sink an enemy and they need to stop the enemy from accumulating points. Now with the friendly carrier having clear skies, hopefully the enemy carrier doesn't have a lot of strike craft left. But even if that would just be a small advantage for the friendlies. Now if the enemy destroyer goes for point alpha here, I think everything is lost anyway. The friendlies don't have a carrier anymore and they have absolutely no reason to stop that. If the friendly DD is going for point alpha, this is over. But what if he is not? If he sticks around and manages to get himself sunk with his low HP, there is hope. And here is the Bismarck. Bismarck coming this way to intercept the Sau and probably delay the Sau from catching the destroyer. Now, Bismarck is in torpedo range, which means there is an opportunity, and there are some torpedoes from the destroyer coming. So the destroyer is interestingly enough not capping point alpha. If the destroyer isn't capping point alpha, there is hope. Friendly gearing is in point Charlie and is getting interrupted by dive bombers. But the midway is spotted, so the gearing is going after the midway. Now the friendlies really need something point-wise, so like sinking the Bismarck with torpedoes. There we go, Bismarck is dealt with. This gives the friendlies a little bit more time. Now the gearing needs to sink this midway. And Vescault needs to sink the destroyer. Enemy destroyer is in point Bravo, but at least we know where he is, and time is getting really, well, to an end. Now the enemy carrier is trying to strike the gearing. The gearing is pretty close to the carrier, and the Sau is probably pretty close to the destroyer. Oh, friendly gearing went down. And with that, this is a loss. Now let's take a look at the results. Unfortunately it was a defeat, but nevertheless Vescault managed to get 1743 base experience, and only 2 enemies got more experience than he did. But yeah, you can't win them all. Now Vescault earned himself the devastating striker Confederate with a raw and high caliber. He scored 275,000 points of damage, and yeah, this was a pretty interesting battle. And it was a pretty close one. I found it exciting till the very end. It could have been a win if the friendly gearing managed to survive the airstrike and then sink the midway. Maybe Vescault would have been able to find the destroyer and sink him. I mean, time was against them, but it was a pretty nice back and forth, and there was always a chance for the friendlies to win until the very end. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough, but you know, you can't win them all. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. And I'll see you guys next time.